I'm Jerry Allred, and I would like to just share a memorable Christmas miracle that happened in my life when I was 9 years old. One of the things my father, his dream and his stories were always about horses. So horses was something that he loved and he wanted his boys to love. So then we moved on the Royal Slope. We were breaking the land out of sagebrush. It was very, very hard to farm. It was a very hard place to farm, a lot of rocks. But he bought 2 horses when we first moved there as soon as he could afford it. And he had brought a saddle that had been, he had had custom made, kid's saddle in Peru. He was very proud of this saddle. It was 2 days before Christmas. I was 9 years old. We, for the first time, we put this new saddle on the little pony that I could ride, and my brother was on the bigger horse. We were riding down below where we live in the sagebrush, and there's lots of rocks, and we were just riding together. And I, for some reason, wanted to split up with my brother and go ride somewhere else. So I jerked the little pony around, and when I did so, the little pony didn't want him to leave the big horse, and he reared up. And as he reared up, I fell off, and my foot got stuck in the stirrup, and it took off running. And I'll never forget, as I was able to look up once in a while, I could see rocks coming at me and sagebrush coming at me. It felt like I was going to perish. I was going to die. I remember having those thoughts coming, this is the end. And I was very scared. But the horse, being very scared as well, and he kept running. Seemed like forever, but for some reason it stopped. And when it stopped, I was able to have enough strength to reach up and release my foot from the stirrup. And I remember my brothers and cousin coming running down to where I was, and I could hardly stand, and they picked me up and carried me to the house, which was probably about a quarter of a mile away or more. And when I went in the house and I stood, and my mother was there waiting, she had me take my coat off and my shirt off. And as I was taking my shirt off, my mother almost collapsed because of the sight of my whole torso was just bloody and scraped up, and it looked horrible to her. And she was just, I remember her screaming a little bit, or gasping. Then the next thing I remember was she had me take all my clothes off and get in the bathtub. Probably one of the most painful things I remember in my life was having to stay in that bathtub, but I was obedient to what my mother asked, because she knew best, and I sat in that Epsom salt for a few minutes. And this happened 2 days before Christmas, and I think the next thing I remember was my father coming home, and my mother having him go over and get our home teacher, Shirley Christensen, and they gave me a priesthood blessing. And I remember in that priesthood blessing, Shirley Christensen said that I would not have any broken bones, and that I would not have any scarring, or my body would be made whole. I think it was somewhat of a miracle that I didn't have any broken ribs. It was no scarring, even though it was just raw. I remember on Christmas Eve being in so much pain that I could not sleep. It was just, I was so uncomfortable, and very memorable Christmas for me. But eventually I healed and have no implications whatsoever from that experience. I also remember it being a very sweet experience, in that Christmas was great relief, and you could say in a way it was a Christmas miracle for me.